Senator from South Carolina.
Thank you. I would, one, join in with a senator from New Hampshire and Alabama of trying to urge the body to take a pause here and see if we can right a wrong before it matures here. The good news is that we had a bipartisan agreement to try to fund the government in a fashion where we would not have government by crisis. I appreciate that. I understand how hard it is to reach a consensus around here. And our objection is not to the, at least my objection is not to the deal as a whole. I appreciate the fact that sequestration relief occurred for our DOD budget for 2 years and non-defense spending, and it was paid for. I appreciate that very much because sequestration is really cut into our ability to defend this nation in a dramatic fashion. And to have it paid for is also a worthy thing to do, the right thing to do. What Senator Ayotte's trying to, the point she's trying to make, I'm trying to make, and I think Senator Sessions is, budget is about your priorities. You know, what we're doing here today is we're telling everybody in America what's important to the Congress, the Senate, and the House when it comes to getting a budget passed for 2 years and how we should do this. How should we pay for it? Here's what I can't understand. Of all the groups in America that you would go to and single out, unlike any other group, to pay for the offset, to come up with some money out of their pocket to get this budget deal passed, which doesn't keep us from becoming Greece by any means, but I do applaud the effort. We picked the military retiree community. And here's what we've done to our military retirees, past, present, and future. We have taken their cost of living adjustment, reduced it by 1% until they get to age of 62. And if you're E7, a Master Sergeant in the Air Force, who retires at 42 in 2015, by the time you get to 62, this 1% reduction of your COLA a year amounts to almost $72,000 in lost benefits. Do you know how much a Master Sergeant with 20 years of service makes in retirement? It's less than $25,000 a year. So that $71,000, almost $72,000 number is requiring that Master Sergeant to give up 3 years of retirement because $25,000, $24,000 a year is what they make for a 20-year period. The cost of the COLA reduction is almost $72,000. So basically, you've taken 3 years of the retirement away to do a budget deal that could be accomplished without having to do that to our military. And nobody else in the country is doing this, by the way. No Social Security recipient has given up a dime. The COLA formula for the military is exactly the same as Social Security and other COLAs that we get around here. Now, should we look at reforming our military retirement pay pension benefit system? Yes, because it's unsustainable in the future. Entitlement growth in the military is real just as it is in the civilian side. But nobody has ever envisioned doing it this way, to take the military retiree community and retroactively apply a benefit cut to them that takes $6.3 billion out of a retiree community. These are the people who have been fighting the wars for 20 years. These are the people who have been serving continuously since 9/11, overseas and at home trying to protect the nation. And this COLA reduction doesn't just apply to people who have retired and in good health at 40 or 42 or 45. It also applies to people who are medically retired. Someone's had their legs blown off in Afghanistan or Iraq who are not going to be able to get a second job most likely. They're going to lose thousands of dollars of cost of living adjustment, and nobody else in the country is like situated. Can we do better? You better believe it. Now, here's what Congress told the Military Compensation and Retirement Modernization Commission. We've set up a commission last year to advise the Congress next year how can we fairly adjust retirement packages to make the personnel costs more sustainable in the Department of Defense in the future? And how can we do that fairly? You know what we told the Commission? We mandated that any change they recommend has to grandfather existing forces and retirees. We put it in the law that created this commission. We put a restriction on the commission's ability to come up with pension, pay, and benefit reform by saying you cannot apply it to people who have signed up expecting certain things. They're grandfathered. Well, we should have told ourselves that. We limit the commission, but we do exactly what the commission is not allowed to do. Now, I don't know how you're going to explain this when you go back home. I hope somebody will ask you what you're trying to accomplish up here. Trying to have a bipartisan budget that avoids a government shutdown is a good thing. But asking the people who have been on the front lines of defending this nation, who have been in the military for 20 years, and do you have any idea how many times the average military family moves in 20 years? Do you have any idea how many schools their children will attend because they move every couple of years? Do you have any idea what it's like to serve this country since 9/11? All I can say is that if you want to find $6.3 billion over the next decade to pay for this budget deal, you can find better alternatives than this if we just take some time. If you don't like what Senator Ayotte's doing, there's other ways. I'm not asking a Democrat to defund Obamacare to keep the government open. I'm not asking a Democrat to take away a safety net from a group of Americans who are struggling. I'm not asking a Republican to raise taxes. I'm asking both of us before Christmas to rethink what we're doing here and put a little bit of time to fix a problem that, quite frankly, is unconscionable. If you make over $250,000 a year in retirement, you receive a $109 a month subsidy to pay your Part D prescription drug bill. And here's what I would say. If you want to pick on rich people, let's do it. To me, $250,000 puts you in a category of living pretty good. Why in the world does our government give you $109 a month to pay your prescription drug bill when we're broke as a nation? That subsidy alone is worth $54 billion over the next 10 years. What if we took some of that money? What if we went to the $250,000 retiree and say, would you give up some of your subsidy to pay your drug bill so a military retiree doesn't have to lose the retirement benefits they've earned and they have fought so hard to defend this nation for so long? I bet you they would say yes. Here's the point. We're going to rush through this thing, and if you ask me what bothers me the most about this is how insensitive we've come as a nation. We trip over ourselves to welcome the troops home when they come back from deployment. Members of Congress want to be there when the Guard unit leaves. We want to show how much we love the troops. That's a good thing. Every American, Republican, Libertarian, Vegetarian, Democrat, we all love the troops. But your Congress is expressing that love in a very strange way. How far have we fallen? Do we have no shame? As a body elected by the American people to make sure the nation is well run? What's the proper first role of the federal government? To defend the nation? Tell me how you defend it without people willing to die for it. You know, the budget doesn't defend this nation. The CBO, the OMB, and all these acronyms do not defend the nation against radical Islam. So I'm urging my colleagues in a spirit of bipartisanship, in a spirit of common decency, do not single out the military retiree who has served so long and so hard and ask them to give so much when others are doing almost nothing. As to our federal employees, you're being asked to contribute more to the federal retirement system, and I'm sure that is a burden. But what do we do to federal employees? We say that everybody who's in the system today does not share that burden. They're grandfathered. It's only for people that are hired in the future. But as to the military retiree, thank you for all your hard work. Boy, do we have a deal for you. This is not going to stand. This is going to pass because everybody's hell-bent on getting out of here and going home and celebrating a bipartisan breakthrough. And we're going to talk about how we become functional again. And I do appreciate the effort to become functional. But to me, in our effort to become functional, we have lost our way and, quite frankly, lost our soul. Any political body who would do this in the name of good government has forgotten what government is all about, is for, by, and of the people. And I tell you right now, from the CEO to the doorman, when they hear about what we've done to pay for a budget deal at the expense of the military retired community, they're not going to be very appreciative. And I promise you this, if we don't fix it now, not only are we going to review it, we are going to fix it. And to our president, there's only one commander-in-chief. How could any commander-in-chief sign a bill that does this? Mr. President, call us down into the White House, put us in a room, Republicans and Democrats, and don't let us out until we find a $6.3 billion offset that doesn't do injustice to the military retired community. If I were president, I sure as hell would do that. Nobody would be going home until we got this right. So, Mr. President, you owe a duty to the troops greater than everybody because you're their commander-in-chief. I don't know if we're going to get this fixed. The train is running, and the military retired community is on the tracks, and a few of us are trying to get them off. I promise their families that if we fail today, we're going to come back at this tomorrow over and over and over again until the Congress finds its soul. I yield.